Hello everyone. Today I would like to show you one of my personal projects in Google Sheets. This one is a process management for police cases. I would like to start from the people and process tabs because they store all the raw information needed for the spreadsheet. This works basically like the database for the spreadsheet. Because of their importance, I'll start with them. However, in everyday use of the spreadsheet, you don't really need to interact with them. The filiação e descendentes fields, parentage and children, parentage and descendants, they're interconnected. So when you add a person to that field, the corresponding entry will automatically be added to the other person's field. And if the person doesn't exist yet, they will be created. The last letter serves as a shortcut, making linking faster. It basically assigns the role of the relationship: father, son, victim, witness, and so on. There's a list of shortcuts you can use, but you can actually write the whole name of the role after the equal sign. And you can also add multiple people by separating them with comma. Yeah, the text had light colors, that's why we couldn't see them. The parties field follows the same rules as the parent and children fields, only it is connected to the person's process field in the person tab. By linking process A to process B, process A will have its blank fields filled with the information of process B. Coming from halfway through the video, I realized that I haven't explained the relationship field. So here you can basically set any kind of relationship between two people. And you can also modify the other person's role from here after the lesser than sign. And this is because you can have any kind of relationship, such as teacher, student, employer, employee, and etc. Yeah, and given that Portuguese is a gender-based language, one letter is just a shortcut to make it feminine or masculine. And once again, some coloring issues. This is because what I usually do is to delete every unused row. I don't manually add people or process or edit their information from these tabs, but for the purpose of this video, I did it. So I had to add a few rows at the bottom and then to adjust the table to make it fit the table range. But the problem is those rows that I added had the color set to white, so I had to manually set them to black in order for you to see them. So one of the reasons I said you don't really need to interact with them is because of the Insert tab. In this tab, we have an easier method of inserting data. All you have to do is to copy the text of the police website, and in the spreadsheet does the rest of the job. For obvious reasons, I can't show you what the police website looks like, so you'll have to trust me on this one. And we can even load an already saved process if we want to make a lot of changes at once. So the number in cell H3 is the number of processes that fit the criteria. In this case, 69. And it is also possible for you to exclude the processes with selected tasks assigned to them. For instance, in this case, o Chivas autor, the perpetrator hearing. Here you can choose the fields for the report in their order. The information is stored in JSON format in the extra field of the process. Here you can filter the processes with a deadline to complete a certain task that is shorter than the value of this field. Let's just create some fake follow-ups. The total on the left is the total of follow-ups, and the total on the right is the total of processes with follow-ups. So this tab is where we store all the information for the summonings, but we don't need to use it directly. You first have to use the symbol to enable the autocompletion. This one didn't have a phone number. Let's add one. So whenever you insert anything in this field, it removes all the data completion. However, if you insert the number 5, it sends the cursor to the next line. So the report string just filters the ones that are yet to come. Yeah, and of course you can change the person who's going to conduct the hearing. This tab is where you hold the values for the types of crimes within the nature field of the process tab. You can also set default tasks for when you insert the value auto in the observation field of a process. And I hit this column because it's a bit hard on the eye. So there are two tabs. I created two tabs because me and my colleague could use the same spreadsheet at the same time. So when you insert the ID of a process in the green field, the process will be loaded. I'm going to start from the document creation. I have some doc files in my drive that I use as templates. So when I created this, I was testing things, and I left it as is. That's why you can see some of the code. This part is clipping. That's the reason you can still see the text of the column C on the column D when there's no value in it. You can change the process field from this tab, but there's a little bit of delay. This one is for changing the tasks of a process one by one. But because of the delay, there might be some issues if you change a lot of info at once. So that's why you have to use the other drop down to send it all at once as a batch. You can import lists of processes from different sources to work on them. Yeah, if you select any process, it'll only filter the selected ones. If you don't select anything, the whole list is imported. The source is this range that is used to retrieve and edit data from another spreadsheet, but I'll dedicate a video for it. Here in the range with the two arrows, you can individually see the data of this process in that sheet, but I'll show it later because this process is a fake one. These two arrows here serve the purpose of skipping to the next or previous process on the list, so you don't have to type it. The green arrow is to go back to the previous opened process, not the previous on the list. This is useful for instances when you send someone a message and then you kept working on the other process of the list. And then when the person finally answers you, you can time her process, do whatever you had to do there, and then resume to the process you were working before. It's very convenient. Let's add a diligence here and check it out on the follow-ups tab. This is just to synchronize between the two screens. This is just an stipulation of the remaining time to complete these tasks, considering your pace. And you can add a pause, so it'll not be counted as time spent on the task. This is useful because you might have to stop to help someone, take a break, or do some unrelated tasks, and then this time won't affect your pace on the diligences of this list. Another Google Sheets rendering error. You can renew or edit the date of the follow-up. Right, so this is the part that allows you to change data in the monthly report spreadsheet for this specific process. You can view and edit the data for the people as well. This dropdown is another convenience trick for navigating through processes. You can actually search people here. This is the hearing region. You can see a preview from the chosen date as well as the free schedules to fit someone. It is based on your agenda and the duration you set for a hearing. These variables are on the variables tabs. When you select someone, you filter every hearing for this person, regardless of any process. When it is blank, you see every hearing for this process. If the checkbox on cell D62 is on, you can check its related processes as well. The checkbox in beat 62 is to see everything from the selected date onwards. You can actually filter the ones that are okay, absent, and the ones still to happen. Here you can list every document in an easy way for when you have to request the court for extension of the deadline. You can add or delete multiple diligences for all the process in the list, as well as set its status or assign a clerk. I forgot to mention you can actually use regex to search. You can search for the family relation and their processes in this region. This one is deprecated though, as I added another screen which does the same thing but includes the related field as well as the data from the Archive Spreadsheet and other connected spreadsheets. Alright, let's compare the new version with this one. You can see not only the family relation, but every relation you've established. Let's add another process. As you can see, you don't see Barney nor his processes. Here you can see everyone related to Fred, as well as their processes. Let's check Barney Rebel. So let's archive this process. I'm going to run these functions real quick. Fred Flintstone, Barney, and his processes no longer exist, but you can still check him through this screen. You can actually restore an archived process. Only the people that were in the process, as well as their parents, are restored. This is because often when you have to create a document, you have the parent fields for identification, right? But even so, the connections are still preserved if you search it from the list archived screen. And lastly, you can send this process to another copy of this spreadsheet using the Transferir Processos region through the same algorithm, but I haven't set up another fake spreadsheet to show it, so unfortunately, I can't show it right now. But yeah, the video's already long enough, so thank you for sticking until the end. Bye bye.